Most leaders who preach about unity are acting in ways that support our divide. Join me for a verbal integration of the work that I've been personally exploring recently. In this episode, you'll learn why and how you may be contributing to the current divide in humanity, why our divide continues to grow wider, the problem with labels and how they're being weaponized, how social justice issues are being used as a distraction from the real issue at hand, and what it's really going to take for us to cultivate unity in humanity. Now, listen up, leaders. If you're ready to lead your business with integrity and want to surround yourself with like-minded leaders during this massive shift in humanity, send an email to me to learn more about my newest group mentorship opportunity, Potent Leaders. Email ruby@rubyfremon.com with the subject line Potent Leaders today. And then if you have yet to do so, grab a copy of my new book, Potent Leadership. It's officially available on Amazon. You can go to potentleadership.com or just look at your local Amazon platform. We are also working to get it up on Barnes and Noble and Chapters and Indigo very soon. So be sure to check that as well. And you can also walk into your local bookstore and request the book from them. That's right. You can walk into your local bookstore and request the book, Potent Leadership. They're just going to look up the ISBN number and order a copy of the book for you. So if you want to support your local stores, go do that today. Now, whether you're a loyal listener or a brand new community member, you're first of all, welcome to the podcast. And second, please take a moment to download a few episodes and drop a rating and review on iTunes. Every single download, rating, and review supports me in getting this podcast out to more leaders around the world. Now it is time to learn how to cultivate unity in humanity. Beyond the narrative, underneath the veil of illusion, and deep within your center, therein lies potent truth. Welcome to Potent Truth, where today's leaders, changemakers, and light carriers come together to question the narrative, arrive at potent truth, and lead with sovereignty. What is potency? It's who you are beneath the masks, facades, and protective gear. It's the medicine humanity yearns for, cries out for, prays for, and needs. Your potency is what sets you apart, magnetizes your following, and creates movements. Join me, Ruby Fremon, for weekly guidance, channeled messages, and potent conversations that will take you on a journey of self-discovery. I am here to guide you to a place of unraveling the programming that's been keeping us stuck for generations, unlocking potent truth and expressing it through sovereign leadership. It's time for change. It's time for potent truth. Hey, leaders, and welcome to another episode of Potent Truth. Now, I want to preface today's episode by just saying that we're talking about something that I've been sitting with a lot lately. And it's a topic that I have previously felt can be a little like spiritual bypassing, a little like bypassing the reality in our lives. And I've done a lot of work, and I'm still doing a lot of inner work to really uncover what this means. So what you're going to be hearing today is really just a verbal integration of what I've been sitting with. And it's something that has been talked, or that is being talked about a lot on social media, in the online space, and other podcasts and videos by a lot of leaders in our world today. but I feel like it's being spoken without providing a real understanding of what it means. And I'm not here to say that I know exactly what this means or that this episode is going to provide you with a super clear and concise understanding. No, I just believe that this is a conversation that we need to be having openly, um, and with our open minds and open hearts. Because at the end of the day, I believe that this is what we all want. And that's unity. We're hearing about unity a lot today, by so many people in the online space. And what you need to understand is that most people who are preaching about unity right now are really acting in ways that support our divide. So I know you felt this divide. If you're a human being like me, you have felt this divide. You are privy to the divide that is happening in our world today. You are feeling it. You may even be feeling a direct impact of that divide because there is a divide happening in your families. Maybe there's a divide happening within your household, in your relationship, in your friendships. Maybe there's a divide happening in your cities, in your state, in your province, where you live, in your countries. There is a divide that is taking place in humanity right now. And what you need to understand is that our divide is part of an agenda. This divide is designed. We have been primed, and I say primed, for generations to support this divide that we are currently experiencing. The friend versus foe, the ally versus the enemy. And even worse are the labels that we've been taught to adopt, labels that only further our divide based on our differences. Now, I'm going to share just a handful of these labels. And I want you to notice, as I'm sharing these labels, notice what thoughts or assumptions come up as I share these labels, and notice what feelings or sensations come up within your body when I share these labels. So we've got educated versus uneducated, wealthy versus poor, strong versus weak. If we want to go back to the days of the Holocaust, we've got Aryan versus non-Aryan, or non-Jew versus Jew. We've got masked versus unmasked. We've got vaxxed versus unvaxxed. We've got white versus black. We've got red versus blue, or Republican versus Democrat, or conservative versus liberal. We've got compliant versus disobedient. Now, again, notice what thoughts or assumptions came up for you as I shared those labels. Notice what feelings came up within your body when I shared those labels. Now, even worse than this is how we've been taught to view one label as an ally, one label as the good, as the right, and the other opposing label as the enemy, as the wrong. Now, the ally label is the one that is encouraged by means of the government, media, educational systems, and society. And the enemy label is the one that is discouraged, and sometimes discouraged by force. And there is always, in every single point in history, there's always a specific narrative that is being projected onto us. Again, through the means of the government, the media, the education systems, and society. And the narrative that is being projected onto us is always perceived as better than the other. And again, it's designed to do this. Now, what's been really interesting for me to observe during this time, this moment in history, is how people on all sides, quote unquote sides, are partaking in the same fucking behavior that encourages our divide. Now, for example, those who identify as Republican or conservative think that they're better than those who identify as Democrat or liberal because they believe that they're standing for the greater good of our society while assuming that Democrats or liberals are damaging our society. And then we have those who identify as Democrat or liberal who think they're better than those who identify as Republican or conservative because they believe that they're standing for the greater good of our society while assuming that Republicans or conservatives are damaging our society. And here's another one. The vaxxed think that they're better than the unvaxxed because they're choosing the option that they believe benefits the greater good, while assuming that the unvaxxed are damaging the greater good. And with that, we've also got the unvaxxed who think that they're better than the vaxxed because they're choosing the option that they believe benefits the greater good while assuming that the vaxxed are damaging the greater good. Now, do you see what's really happening here? Do you see it? Do you see the intricate design of this divide? Pinning us against each other when ultimately we want the same damn thing. And now what's even worse, and this has been so heartbreaking to witness, is that social justice issues are being used to drive us even further apart. From racism to the recent addition of new labels to identify one's gender, all of this is only widening our divide and is being used ultimately as a distraction to keep us from seeing the real issue at hand, which is how we're all of us, we're all getting played. Now, this labeling culture also gives rise to some serious conflict within each of us. Have you ever struggled to fit in or felt like you didn't belong? Or even felt like the bad guy, or like you were wrong because you didn't believe the same as those around you? Have you ever found yourself questioning your own beliefs, values, and choices because they're different than those around you? And have you ever felt confused about who you are? And then finally, do you believe that you'd feel any of this if we didn't have these labels that encourage divide? Really think about that. Unity is described as a state of being united or joined as a whole. But what happens when we ourselves don't feel whole? The truth is, we cannot create unity in humanity if we have no unity within ourselves. We cannot create unity in our world if we feel conflicted within ourselves. We cannot create unity if we don't embody unity. And this is the real work. Unity begins within us, within each of us. It begins the moment that we refuse to fuel the divide and see the other as our enemy. And I'll be honest, this is the part that used to really get to me. I couldn't fathom how some people refuse to see others as enemies or as wrong or as bad. It just felt like this weird form of spiritual bypassing to me. But as I began to dive deeper into my own inner work, I started to amplify the frequency of love and compassion within me. And that compassion really gave me the power to see people as people, to see humans as humans, and recognize that every human being is just a human being in this world. The truth that most people don't want to hear, especially today, is that we are the same. Most people don't want to hear this because, again, we've been primed to support division. But we are the same. We are all human beings. We're humans being in this journey. We're just at different points in our individual journeys. And every single one of us has been primed to support division. And this priming has been happening for generations. It runs so, so deep. Now, this isn't to say that one option isn't better than the other, that one view isn't better than the other, better for humanity. But how can we possibly even see which option is best for humanity if we're not willing to see each other? How can we see which option is best for humanity if we're not willing to meet each other or have conversations with each other, like real conversations? How can we see which option is best for humanity if we're not willing to seek to understand each other? You see, unity isn't about seeing everything as good or right. It's about being united or joined as a whole. And this cannot happen if we continue to behave in ways that only further our divide. So let's bring this back to you, because you can only control you, right? We can't control the behaviors, the judgments, the thoughts, the actions of others. You only have control over you. So let's bring this back to you. Cultivating unity within yourself isn't to see everything about you as good or right. It's about understanding everything about you instead of assuming that you know everything. It's about owning the light and the dark within you and knowing that you can't have one without the other. It's about knowing that you don't know everything. Cultivating unity within ourselves is the work that we need to do right now. It's the work that we get to do to find love within us, to find compassion within us, to understand what we value and why, to understand what we believe and why, to uncover what lies beneath our opinions, our beliefs, and our values, so we can connect with the human within us. And in doing so, connect with humanity. To be part of humanity is to embrace the human in all of us, is to understand that we were created as a reflection of God, of the divine. That's what truly resides within the heart and soul of every single human being on this planet. And if you don't see this, you still have work to do. The reason we don't immediately see this is because of the fact that we've been primed to create division, not unity. We've been primed to adopt labels instead of seeing and embracing our likeness. We've been primed to take sides, to choose sides, to identify with a label and make those who believe different wrong. These are all things that we've been primed to do. So the real work needed right now is to cultivate unity within. This is the only way that we will reach a space of unity within humanity, is if every single fucking person on this planet did the work to cultivate that sense of unity within themselves. So imagine if you who see yourself as a leader, imagine if you modeled this for people, if you embodied this work for people. Imagine if You showed the world what it's like to really embody that sense of unity. No more projecting your beliefs. No more speaking down to those who speak differently. No more making fun of people who are different than you. No more addressing the differences, but instead addressing the likeness. Imagine if we all did that, where we could end up. And that's the vision that I see for humanity. That's the humanity that I want to see. And we all play a role in this. So again, the real work needed right now is to cultivate unity from within. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Potent Truth, where I am taking you on a journey to challenge illusion and lead with sovereignty. Now, if you are ready to lead your business with integrity, and you want to surround yourself with like-minded leaders during this massive shift in humanity, send me an email to learn more about my newest group mentorship opportunity, Potent Leaders. Just email ruby@rubyfremon.com with the subject line Potent Leaders today. Now, please know that this is a paid mentorship opportunity with a limited number of seats, and we start in September. So email me today if you're ready. And then, of course, if you have yet to grab a copy of my book, what are you waiting for? Head to potentleadership.com and grab yours today. It's available on Amazon everywhere. And please do note that my team is working to get the book on other sites as well, so you don't have to just support Amazon. And if you have a local bookstore that you love, if you have a local bookstore that you want to support, guess what? You can walk into that bookstore and say, hey, I would love to get a copy of Potent Leadership. They will look up the ISBN number of that book and order it for you. So you can support your local bookstores by buying my book from them. Now, before you head off into the rest of your day, please be sure to download a few episodes of Potent Truth and drop a rating and review on iTunes. Every single download, rating, and review helps get this podcast out to more leaders around the world. This is a way for you to give back for all the information that I continue to share. I would truly, truly, truly appreciate you taking the time to do that. So download a few episodes, drop a rating and review on iTunes, and be sure to connect with me on social media. My handle is @IamRuby. Thank you so much for all your love and support with the podcast and with the book. If you've got the book, please be sure to share photos of the book and tag me @IamRuby and use the hashtag Potent Leadership. So hashtag Potent Leadership for a chance to get featured. And then finally, make sure you check back on Monday for a brand new episode of Potent Truth. Aho, leaders.